Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Mega Man. I decided to skip over the replay of a Luckman stage and then just include the footage of the tail end here. Just because I kept dying on it last time and eventually that led to that game over, so I had to replay the whole stage. And I just figured since I kept dying last episode and having to replay large sections of it anyways, I might as well just cut to the tail end here. And yeah, I figured out that pretty effective magnet beam strategy for getting over that pogo friend guarding the gate here, which normally I wouldn't think to do because, like I said, I usually don't go into a Luckman stage with Gutsman's, that's not very fun to say, with his arm weapon that allows you to get those blocks out of the way. Normally what I do is I play through a Luckman stage, and that was also a very stupid death, I'm sorry for that, I got a little too hasty waiting for that beam to go away. Normally what I do is I go through a Luckman stage, and then I go through it again, because the other weapon, aside from the Gutsman arm that you can use to break those blocks, is actually a Luckman's weapon. So I'll go through, I'll play through Cutman's, usually this is the order I do. I do Cutman, Bombman, a Luckman, I'll do a Luckman stage again, and then I'll do Gutsman. The second a Luckman run is really just to get the Magnet Beam. I even believe once you get to the end of the stage, you don't even have to refight a Luckman or anything, it just kicks you right back to the Robot Master selection. So yeah, let's actually get ready for the Luckman fight. This is probably one of my favorite Robot Master fights, and also one of my favorite Robot Master designs. He can kill you in 3 hits, but if you're good like me, you just avoid all of his attacks, and you can take him down in 3 hits. Very fast and fun duel of a fight. Very tricky to do it Mega Buster only, but it's not too bad once you get the timing down. You can kind of stun lock him, and prevent him from attacking, because every time you hit him, he'll get knocked back, and it'll hit him out of him casting his electricity or whatever, like Darth Sidious. But yeah, get ready for what might be the most attempts I've had to do for a stage in the entirety of this Let's Play, maybe? I'm trying to wrap my head around to think if I died more on any other stage in this Let's Play, and I think this is the one. Iceman stage is bullshit. I fucking hate the stage with a passion. There are so many things that I just despise about it. One of them, funny enough, unlike a lot of video games from the time, including another game series starring a iconic blue mascot that we'll eventually be getting to, you don't have to worry about breath or anything underwater. You just get the benefit of being able to jump higher and stuff, and being a little floaty. But, you know, Mega Man's a robot. He don't need oxygen or anything like that. Also, something that I don't know if I pointed out is that even though you can't kill them with the Mega Buster, those Roomba enemies you can stun for a few seconds by hitting it with the Mega Buster. But, you know, it's kind of hard to do because normally you'll just shoot above them like this. So here we go. Get ready for some disappearing tile puzzles. These are pretty despised by many platformer fans just because it's nothing but memorization and pattern recognition. They're really tricky, very tight platforming challenge with some pretty harsh timing. Luckily it's not over a bottomless pit like in other iterations and other Mega Man games that we'll eventually get to. But yeah, very, very tricky puzzle here. Kind of eases you into it though. And you might be wondering, Razin, can't you use the magnet beam to kind of just make your own platforms and make this whole process null and void? And the answer is, yeah, I can. But I'm too stubborn, and I wanted to show off me doing it the right way, quote-unquote, damn it. And you're gonna suffer along with me. And also, I don't know if this is just the Legacy Collection. I keep seeing in this Let's Play weird glitches I have not used to seeing from Mega Man 1. I'm not sure if it's just the Legacy Collection version, or if if these have always been there and I've just never noticed before. But yeah, when I hug the right wall like that, and the pattern gets to a certain point, like you can see it kind of, like the blocks kind of randomly just appear in the landscape to the right there. It's very bizarre. I've never seen that happen before. Maybe it's always been like that and I've just never noticed, but this is the PS4 version of the Legacy Collection, by the way, so I don't know if it's just a weird thing with this game or what the deal is, but yeah, it's just strange. So yeah, I hope you're gonna grab a, maybe a bucket of popcorn or some, a drink or something, and, just, you're in it for the long haul, because you're gonna suffer through this puzzle with me. And there we go, we did it. Wasn't that bad. It was just a little bit longer than I would have liked to have done it in, but, And then, of course, I fucked up the jump and I slid off the edge because of the slippery platform, so... We're gonna have to go through that process all over again, and I'm gonna force you to watch, damn it. I'm not editing this shit out. Fuck you. You got nothing better to do. You're supposed to be social distancing and stuck in a quarantine. Speaking of that, and I hate to keep referencing old Let's Plays, but... I made that coronavirus joke at the start of, the Ninja Gaiden Let's Play I did a few weeks back, and oh boy, did the situation quite escalate from there, huh? Yeah, I've been working from home, and, I've been surviving. Luckily, nothing has impacted me too terribly compared to other people. I'm quite lucky. I did get my, I did get a promotion delayed, though, that I've been busting my ass for months on end, so I'm a little upset about that, but, I still consider myself, thankful for the fact that I still have a job, and my heart goes out to everyone right now who is dealing with the, fallout of this whole pandemic situation. It's just not fair to you, and, here's hoping the best for you and your loved ones in this, very difficult time, and I hope me, forcing you to watch me die horribly over and over again, on the Iceman stage is somehow bringing you pleasure at my expense. Maybe it's just boring you. I'm sorry if that's the case. I don't mean to add on to your suffering due to my incompetence, but yeah. So at this point, I was like, okay, I'm going to try and do these block tiles properly, and I should probably hold on to the magnet beam so I could get through that platforming part easier, because... yeah, those moving platforms are just tricky, and it's not fun to deal with, and I wanted to make sure I had enough magnet beam ammo, so I didn't want to, fuck up and just waste it going through these disappearing block parts when I didn't need to, technically, because this isn't as tricky as that bottomless pit hellscape with all those floating flying platforms, so I figured I'd bite the bullet here and just suffer through this so that I can have an easier time later, and that still kind of ended up biting me in the ass, I think, so... jump, and jump! Yes! There we go, we did it. Okay, now let's do this right. Just keep jumping, not walking, so we don't accidentally slide off. Yeah, if you get hit by one of those projectiles coming out of the ends of these weird googly eye contraptions here, you might as well just call it quits, because you're gonna fall off. I'm sorry, it's just the truth of the matter. I probably should have just bit the bullet and started using the magnet beam here, and of course I tried to play the risk, and there we go. There's our second game over. One more stage in, and we're already game overing again. So let's go through that entire process once more, shall we? So yeah, actually, while we're doing this, I figured I might as well give y'all a little bit of a rundown of this game's story, because I realized I haven't done this yet. Basically, it's the future of 2000X, which, remember when that used to be considered the future? That's adorable. And our friend Mega Man here was actually originally a robot known as Rock, along with his sister unit, who is known as Roll. Get it? Rock and Roll. Haha. And they were created by a doctor named Dr. Light. I believe also alongside a fellow scientist named Dr. Wily. Dr. Wily and Dr. Light then went on to create 6 more robots that all had various functions, such as Gutsman, who was a construction worker robot, Bomb Man was a demolitions expert, Cutman was for cutting down, like, deforestation and, speeding up the process of global warming. Not really sure why Dr. Light created him. Honestly, very suspect. I think we have to cancel Dr. Light on Twitter for that one. But yeah. So, through that process, everything was pretty cool. They made these advanced robots that were unparalleled by modern robotics, and it was just quite the achievement at the time. And then, of course, Dr. Wily decided that instead of just getting a Nobel Peace Prize or whatever the fuck scientists want to do with their lives, he decided to be an asshole and take over those 6 robot masters and start using them for plans of world domination and all sorts of terrible evil shit. So then our friend Rock here volunteered to be turned into a combat robot so that he could fight against the robot masters and then put a stop to Dr. Wily and his evil plans. So that's where Mega Man comes from, and that's the very basic rundown of the story of this game. And yeah, it's a tale as old as time, as they say. And our good friends Dr. Light and Dr. Wily will factor into Mega Man stories for many years to come. Many, many years to come. It's a very simple premise that eventually, through decades of storytelling and sequel escalation, leads to, like, just a massive dystopian storyline and apocalypse, like an apocalyptic scenario, actually multiple apocalyptic scenarios. The Mega Man series goes very wild directions, and I will definitely be covering those later entries at a later date, don't you worry. But for now, it's basically a Saturday morning cartoon, but it eventually goes to a point where there is unironic usage of the phrase concentration camps. So get ready for that, and of course I died again, because of course I fucking did. And please don't mistake me saying that Mega Man uses the term concentration camps as an edgy joke. No, like, I'm dead fucking serious. The phrase concentration camps gets used in Mega Man unironically at some point. This series is just fucking wild. I love it, though. Honestly, I know that there's a lot of people that had the game series that they got way too invested in the lore of when they were younger. Mega Man was definitely that for me. Particularly the X and Zero games, though also Legends too. I'm a big fan of Legends. Honestly, I just love Mega Man in general. The only games I don't really have a lot of fondness for, and that's just because I haven't had much experience playing them, is the Battle Network and Star Force games. And I've always really meant to give those more of a shot. I've played through bits of them, but they just never really stuck with me. And I know that they're good games, or at least a lot of them are considered really good games, and I just need to give them a shot because, you know, Mega Man with a kind of strategy RPG bent, I'm all for that, so. And it's a little bit of a card game too, I guess, with the chips and whatnot. Sometimes you get into patterns like this too, where there's just no good time to jump. This is very frustrating. I just don't like this stage. I'm sorry if this is painful for you to watch. I think this is the longest I ever stood on any of these stages for the entirety of the Legacy Collection Let's Play. And if I stood any longer than this, I'm pretty sure I edited it out. I just wanted to show you the full Iceman stage experience, and I feel like it would be disingenuous for me to show how awful, for me to gloss over how awful this is, rather, by editing this shit out, so. I just really wanted to show you the full extent of my suffering here. There we go, we're right at the edge there. I don't know why I didn't just fucking Magnet Beam. I'm such an asshole. I think that there's just a point where I got so frustrated and I was like, no, fuck it, I'm doing it without the Magnet Beam. I'm gonna show this stage who's boss. And we're rewarded for a 1-up for our troubles, at least. Unlike other games in the future, and actually it took Mega Man a while to figure this out. If you want to pick up weapon energy capsules like that, you have to have the appropriate weapon that you want to refill equipped. In later games, there are ways, sometimes it's an upgrade, sometimes it's just how the game works, where Mega Man can just walk over it in his default form. And I don't know why I shot the Magnet Beam, that was weird of me to do. But basically how other Mega Man games do it is there'll be an upgrade or just part of the game where if you walk into it in your base form, it'll just refill whatever weapon you have in your inventory that has the lowest amount of ammo left. So here's Iceman. He's not too tricky. So we're gonna switch to a Luckman's weapon here. And just fire some quick shots off. And here we go! This is the Mega Man 1 Pro Strat, and we're actually gonna rewind so we can show off this fight properly. Mega Man 1 is the one Mega Man game that has a proper pause function. But they took it out in later entries, and I think part of the reason was because of this glitch, and also because you have the weapon menu, you really don't need it anyways, it kind of acts like a pause as is. But basically what you can do is that when you're hitting an enemy with a long weapon, such as a Luckman's weapon, though also I believe it works with the cut blades as well, you can pause the game, and then when you unpause it, it will re-register the hit, even though it should only register one. And you can just destroy enemies very quickly. You can, as soon as you get a Luckman's weapon, honestly, you can honestly just cheese through every boss by just spamming pause as the beam is going through them, because it'll keep counting each unpause as an individual hit. And a Luckman's weapon does a lot of damage, so yeah. If you ever feel like cheesing through this very difficult game, I know I did when I was a kid, you can really abuse the pause strategy there. Finally, that hell of a stage is over, though, at least, and now we can move on to Fireman, who, unlike his name suggests, is not putting out fires, he is actually making them. I actually don't know what Fireman's purpose is for. I mean, I'm sure that, you know, just like for any industrial process, you need a lot of heat sometimes, but, like, I don't know if he's... Actually, you know what? I remember what he is now, because I believe his thing is that he's a waste disposal robot. Like, he burns garbage and shit like that. Which I guess he needs this entire facility to do. Also, okay, I've always wondered what the fuck the deal is with these fire enemies, because, like, are they robots? Because they just look like fireballs with eyes on them. Maybe they're flaming robots, and the only thing you can see of the actual robot part are the eyeballs? Who knows? Who can say? If you go through with Iceman's weapon, you can freeze these flame pillars, which will make this stage a lot less tricky to go through, thankfully. And obviously you can skip through a lot of segments here with the magnet beam as well. Fireman stage is not too bad. There's some parts that are a little tricky, but nowhere near as bad as Iceman stage, or honestly even a Luckman stage. Honestly, I usually don't have that much trouble with a Luckman stage. I was kind of surprised I died so many times when I recorded this Let's Play. You know, there's that old idea of the LP tax, though, or whatever people call it, where sometimes when you're just playing through a game you know well, even if it's a game you've memorized a lot of and stuff like that, just the very fact that you're doing it for a recording makes you play worse, because you start to second guess yourself, and you get nervous, and yeah. Performance anxiety is real. So yeah, this part can get tricky. So you really have to make your way through, or what you can do is you can just use the magnet beam and then just go across it. It's very tricky to run through that segment without taking at least one hit from those waves of flame coming at ya. I probably could have used Cutman's weapon to deal with these guys, but I just decided to tank through. Luckily, I was able to get that big energy tank there, though, at least. I can't say energy tank, because those are actual things in later Mega Man games, but, you know, health refill. I guess I'll call them health refills. And just keep sniping out these little turrets here. And actually, yeah, that is one thing that I forgot about until just now. You can use a Luckman's weapon to deal with these guys pretty easy, because it is a very wide beam. And actually, too, it does those sparks that go vertically also do damage as well. So if there's ever an enemy above you that you need to take out in this game, those will do the trick. So yeah, he'll just keep shooting stuff at you, and also there's a little flame that'll track underneath you. But if you have pretty good amount of health and you have Iceman's weapon, you can just honestly just go through him like butter. Not too tricky of a fight. So that's all 6 of the Robot Masters. Next time around, we're gonna get started on our friend Dr. Wily's stages. Hope you enjoyed this episode. See you next time.